So, what better way to come back with a somewhat reboot sequel channel to my original one than with a somewhat reboot sequel series to one of my favorite franchises of all time? Yeah. Uh, reason why the other channel's not up anymore and why it's not getting that much publicity as it would be. Well, basically, long story short, I can't gain access to it. No matter what I try to do with the password recovery, it won't work. Whatever, we're moving on. You know what? New start, whole new stuff, whole new job. It's all good. And glad to be back doing what I love doing. And especially love it when I have actually good material with. Because recent movies have been very, so-so. Not so great that I love them, with the exception of Spider-Man. And not so bad that I hate them. Cowboy Bebop? But yeah, no, it's great to be back. Hopefully this is going up and everything's all good. If not, I'm gonna have a fun time trying to get this all going. But regardless, you didn't come here to see me. You came here to see me rant and rave about a movie. And Scream 5, Scream 2022, seriously, movies, pick a theme and stick with it. Say what you will about the Saw movies, at least with the exception of Jigsaw, and I guess Saw the final chapter, and then that weird puzzle one with Chris Rock in it. I forget what that one was called, but, you know, besides all that, they at least keep it, you know, Saw 1, Saw 2, 3, 4, 5. And for the most part, they do that well with Scream. You have Scream 1, Scream 2, 3, 4's a soft reboot, I guess, sequel, kind of like how this one is. But the difference is this one actually sets up the groundwork for a potential continuous series, whereas the other one, basically, no, it was a one and done, just try to force reboot that didn't work. And if that sounds a little too meta, congratulations, welcome to Scream. For those of you who don't know, Scream is a pseudo-slasher comedy, keyword being slasher then comedy, that pokes fun at the slasher genre and the horror movie genre as a whole, and proceeds to, well, have fun at its own expense, with all the cliches you can imagine, but with one key difference here. You actually like the characters. No, seriously. One of my biggest issues with horror movies as of late, with the exception of a few, is literally the characters you don't like. They're not good people. And if they're not good people, why are we watching them? Why are we rooting for them? Because the whole point is you're not supposed to feel bad when they get killed. Like, oh, yay, they got killed, ha, ha, ha. I don't have any emotional attachment. But Scream, for the most part, has done a good job of making you actually feel somewhat of a connection to the people that are going to die. They're not bad people. Except for the third one. There's a lot of bad people in the third one, but that's mostly because Hollywood and just, yeah. And honestly, a few of them none of them really deserve to be killed, except for a few of them, and I'll be blunt with that one. But the fact is, you do care for these characters, and once again, they do a really good job making you actually feel for these characters, both old and new, because basically, if you were alive in the other Scream movies, you do show up here for one reason or another, and even Randy's sister is still alive, and she shows up in this, and she's got kids, Randy's niece and nephew, who I don't believe he ever met. I'm like, no, wait, second movie, yeah, no, he's definitely dead before they meet, but regardless. So, it's cool seeing all these characters come back, seeing all these next generation as it would be, and seeing their connection to what would be in the past. And we even kind of see a little bit of Sydney's kids, kinda. It's hinted at that she's got daughters, and you see her in the first scene pushing a stroller, so maybe she's taking the daughters, but then she's like, I take my daughters to school, but they were in the stroller, but yeah, whatever. But it was great seeing her. Dewey's great. Lovable oaf that he is. Good, kind-hearted soul. Gail's, think more Scream 3 Gale, not so much Scream 1, 2, or 4. Where she's not chasing the story, she actually does have a bit of a connection with this, and she does try to get a little bit of a story and a little bit of it, but through action, she becomes more invested and has a lot more involvement in this. Same with Sydney, but they're not kind of the main story. They're really not. They're more the set dressing that kind of brings them in at the end, and kind of the halfway point, because you do see doing around Act 2 when it begins. But the new characters actually do a pretty good job, even if one of them, I get what they're trying to do with her. I understand they're trying to make it a bit more self-aware Randy. But at the same time, like when she does the rant, is actually really good, because there's always a rant, hello, in Scream movies that basically tell you the rules of the setup you're going to deal with. And I always enjoy those because they're pretty much right. Because if you boil down most horror movies, especially the slasher ones, you're going to get the same thing over and over again. It's just, how can it be executed? How can you set up the suspense? and the characters, and the setting. Can you make it enjoyable and get you sucked into the environment? Which is always the toughest thing with horror movies because, well, I mean, you're either there because you want to get the startles, you want to see the gore, or you want to see just the storytelling and all the craziness that goes in with it. There are a few legitimate good horror movies with stories in them. Look up the original Black Christmas, not the 2007 or 8 version. I forget which one that is. And for the love of everything that's holy, do not look up the Black Christmas from 2000, whatever that was, 18, 16, whatever. The last one they just made. Garbage piece of... Maybe I'll review that for a Christmas episode one day. Who knows? Maybe I have to get blitzed off my mind to do it, but with alcohol, legally. Yeah. All jokes aside, though, the reason why I'm trying to be off on a tangent with these ones is that Scream itself, this is a true reboot sequel with all the trimmings and all the fanciness that is. And I don't want to say too much because the great thing about Scream is always, it's a slasher comedy, but it's also a bit of a whodunit, where you're trying to guess who it is. And in a good way, you never really can tell who it is. I mean, yes, I kind of guessed who one of them was going to be right away because, with the exception of Scream 3, the rule is always of 2. You always have 2 killers. Even in the Scream series, there's always 2 killers. The only exception being Scream 3, which because that was the end of a trilogy and they were trying to tie it all back, and there's a whole, Scream 3 is the weakest out of all of them, in my opinion, for that reason, where they try to really make it much grander than it really is, and even this one kind of falls in that category. But you can forgive it based on the whole reason why this is happening. And, yeah, I mean, this is a, honestly, fun watch. I'm not going to say you have to go out and see it in theaters like I did, because we're kind of past the time of Halloween. No one's really looking for a good horror movie in January. January's, like I've said many times, is the dumping ground of movies. But for what it's worth, it's definitely a rental, a one-see. If you can see it at a matinee, maybe. It was kind of cool because I did see it with a couple of horror people, so we were just laughing at some of the moments when you're like, yep. But they do play with it a little bit. Like, the one good thing about the Scream movies, like I said, is that they are meta. Like, they do acknowledge what's happening and how to kind of prevent it, and they do think, which makes it a little tougher when they do stupid things. Like, my girlfriend, who I just pissed off, left. She sends me a text message to come find her. I'm going to go out in the middle when the tracker is in the bushes, and I'm gonna go to the bushes. And what could possibly happen? Even though you brought a weapon, which, slight continuity error actually, because the weapon he uses ends up back in the house. But you could say that the killer maybe brought it back in. I don't... Whatever. Minor things like that. I still gotta be fair to this movie. But it is shot well, and the visual effects are really good. There's a really good kill where somebody gets kind of just stabbed through the face. And not through the face like this way, but like through it like this. And you can see it like piercing the cheek and everything and pulling back, and it's really done. And like I said, it's not done for the gore factor, it's done for the more kinesthetic of it, because it's not like he's doing all of a sudden blood and he's gonna rip it and you're gonna see all this sinew and whatnot. No, it's a clean kill. But you admire the effect that they're putting into this to let it go. And some of the kills in here are some we've seen before, some are actually really good. And some of the people, when they do die, you're kind of okay with it, because like I said, even though you don't actively hate these characters, some of them, when they do go, you kind of go, yeah, like when the killers finally get to come up, and slight spoilers, this one doesn't end on one of those sour grapes moments where the villains survive and the heroes are all dead, and this is just going to be a continuation thing, kind of like how they did in Scream 1, the series, but, yeah. Fact is, it's really cool, and this does have stakes. Anyone kind of can die. There's a few you can kind of guess who aren't going to die, especially when their time is kind of set up based on the stuff that they have left, and if you saw the trailer, obviously. But all in all, it was really good and really fun, and like I said, definitely a good one to come back. Like I said, this is going to be the channel for now. I'll try to get more stuff up as it says, but I'll be doing a bit more besides just movies, because honestly, seeing the same schlock over and over again kind of gets a little boring. But I'll mix up a little bit. Who knows? Might review some food, video games. If it's a book, you're going to be waiting a long time for that, because my time of reading is very limited as it is. But yeah, glad to be back, guys. And hopefully this time my account won't get locked out and I won't be able to get a hold of it and get it all fixed and everything. But yeah, the $1 critic is he's gone. Behold the $1 critic. Yeah, I know. Shocker. Nothing's changed, but I'm rebooting, sequeling this. Come on, let's go. Let me get that fresh Hollywood money. Come on. I'm actually not that desperate. I actually do have some self-respect, unlike certain other people, I would like to say. A certain franchise is a little upset that, oh, Ghostbusters Afterlife was really good and no one likes 2016, and they kept you out of the set that told the entire story from 1, 2, and Afterlife when you're nothing but a would-be wannabe spin-off series. Oh, and people online don't like it. And now you're attacking people and saying that liking this one is horrible? Oh, honey. And by the way, it's not because they're females. I'm literally saying that to Paul Feig, the director. When you do stuff like this, when you openly insult the fans, when you openly happen to do stuff like this, and you don't do what Scream does, and which I can't believe I have to say this in the same sentence, that Ghostbusters and Scream are different, but yet one has more respect being a slasher series than the actual genre that it came from, you know you're kind of screwed up. And that's the best thing I can say about Scream, y'all. I noticed already probably ended it a little bit ago, but hey, I like my rants. Scream does what Ghostbusters Afterlife did right. They paid respect to the old series, they let the new ones stand on their own, but they brought the old ones in just to have that little bit of tension, but they didn't finish it. They didn't get the final setup. It was the newbies that finished it. Kind of slight spoiler for Ghostbusters Afterlife then, but hey, it's been out for a while at this point. You should already have seen it. And if you haven't seen it, go see it. Double review. Scream 5, Scream 2022, or just Scream. Good job. Ghostbusters Afterlife. Good job. Cowboy Bebop, the Netflix series, and Ghostbusters Afterlife. Garbage. Yeah, still standing by that. Who knows? Maybe I might do a Cowboy Bebop retrospective on that because there's a lot of stuff I want to say both good, because there are good in that series, and bad. But let me know right down in the comment section if you want me to review that. Or heck, maybe I'll tackle this High Guardian Spice, the supposedly worst anime kinda series ever to be created, which is currently free on Crunchyroll, so why the heck not? Maybe I'll go review that. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Ooh. Yeah, I've seen a lot of bad anime. Hope really well. I watched the first episode, like, how bad can it be, right?